This story begins with a dark memory. In 1959, a desperate climber struggles to descend an impossible wall. The echoes thunder across the mountain, his face frozen in terror. Something is chasing him, no ropes can save him, and with no other way out, he leaps into the void. Thus was born the legend of the Forbidden Wall. No one ever came back, not a single soul. The area was closed off, and for over 6 decades, no one was allowed near it. But now, everything is about to change. Word spreads fast, the Forbidden Wall has just been reopened. Sean, a young professional climber, hears about it from his friends. This isn't just another wall. This is where his grandfather vanished 63 years ago without a trace. No one returned. But this time, the authorities have authorized access for a select group, the best climbers in the world. Kurt Carpenter, one of the event organizers, confirms the team, 6 climbers will ascend, plus a few backups. Sean receives an invitation. For him, this isn't just an expedition. It's personal. He doesn't hesitate to accept. When he arrives at the meeting point, his father stops him. Connor, still haunted by the loss of his own father, tries to convince Sean not to go. He tells him that reaching the summit doesn't define him, that coming back alive is what truly matters. Sean listens, but his mind is made up. He doesn't just want to climb. He wants to know why his grandfather never came back. At the access point, Sean meets an adrenaline junkie and skydiving enthusiast whose plan is to climb and then jump from the summit. Since he's not part of the official team, he begs Sean to help him get closer. Sean makes it clear he has no authority to decide that. Still, the man insists. When Sean reaches base camp, he's greeted by Colton, the team leader. They know each other from past climbs. Colton is glad to see him, but they both know this expedition won't be like the others. The conditions are extreme, and the place is wrapped in mystery. Among the team is Carrie, a skilled climber who desperately wanted to be part of the ascent. But Colton assigns her to manage the base camp instead. Frustrated, she agrees, silently hoping she'll get a chance to join later. Colton gathers everyone for a briefing. The rules are strict. No drilling into the rock. The wall is sacred. They can only use natural cracks. The plan is to split into 3 pairs, Colton with Jesse, Emily with Lucky, and Kristen with Brad. Sean and another climber are reserves in case anything goes wrong. Before they leave, the local tribal chief gives a speech. He welcomes them but reminds them the mountain isn't just stone, it's a place of history, of spirits, of power. He asks for respect and issues a warning. Only climbers are allowed beyond this point. No outsiders should approach. It's for their own safety. Colton promises to honor their rules and swears they won't harm the wall. The chief agrees and blesses them, asking the great raven spirit to protect them. The ceremony ends. Silence falls heavy. Everyone knows they are about to face something extraordinary. That night, Kristen apologizes to Sean about what happened to his grandfather. Sean stays calm and says he didn't know him well, that he wasn't the only one who died on that mountain. But his eyes tell a different story. Before dawn, the team begins the climb. The first day is brutal. The walls are steep and the weather unforgiving. Colton orders them to set up the first camp halfway up the mountain. They prepare to spend the night hanging from the rock face. Meanwhile, Sean walks off alone to clear his head. In the forest, he meets the tribal chief again. The chief greets him by name. He knows who Sean is and who his grandfather was. Sean is stunned. The chief reveals something no one else knew. His grandfather did make it to the summit, but what he found there changed everything. There was a force, a presence, something not human. Something that fell from the sky and drove anyone who heard it mad. The tribe managed to trap it at the top, but now that evil wants to break free. The chief tells Sean his grandfather sacrificed himself to keep it sealed, and now it's Sean's turn. Sean protests, saying he's just a climber, but the chief insists Sean has a strong mind, and only inner silence can protect him. He hands Sean a ceremonial staff and tells him he's going to need it. Sean heads back to camp, his mind spinning. Elsewhere on the mountain, Emily and Lucky sit inside their hanging tent, reminiscing about past climbs. Lucky recalls a time he nearly died on an ice wall. His words are a grim reminder, one mistake out here, and you're done. At sunrise, the climb continues, but just a few hours later, everything begins to change. A strange sound cuts through the air, a high-pitched tone, almost like a frequency no one's ever heard before. Then come the visions, voices that aren't real, hallucinations. Everyone starts seeing things that aren't there. Kristen hears her mother's voice. Brad sees things he can't explain. Sean feels a crushing pressure in his head, something invisible, but undeniable. Colton orders them to keep moving, insisting it's just exhaustion. Ignore the noise, he says. but the team is shaken. Down at base camp, Carrie hears a strange static through the radio, then silence. The connection with the team is gone. Sean manages to reach her for a moment, telling her what the chief said. Carrie dismisses it, saying those are just legends, nothing more than campfire stories. Colton and Jesse press on, but Colton starts acting off. His headaches get worse. He stumbles but insists he's fine. Something is clearly wrong. Higher up, Brad and Kristen keep climbing until Brad suddenly snaps. He throws his rope aside. Kristen freezes. Then she sees it. Brad moves like an animal, his limbs jerky, unnatural. His voice changes, he speaks with her mother's voice. His eyes are blank, soulless. Kristen screams for help as Brad crawls toward her, unhooks her line, and for a terrifying moment it looks like he's about to kill her. Then, just as suddenly, Brad snaps back to himself. He blinks, horrified, and then falls straight into the void. Kristen is left clinging to the rock, trembling, barely able to process what just happened. News of the fall spreads quickly. Carrie hears the report. Brad is gone. But no one believes Kristen when she describes what she saw. Tension spikes after Brad's death. Kristen insists it wasn't an accident, but the others shrug it off. Things like this happen in the mountains, they say, but Kristen knows better. Nobody moves like that. Nobody speaks in someone else's voice. Nobody throws away their own gear. Back at base camp, Carrie makes the call to send backup. Sean and Justin gear up to follow Brad and Kristen's route. They need to reach her fast. Sean says nothing, but the tribal chief's warning echoes louder in his head with every step. The climb gets harsher. The air feels heavier. The strange sound grows louder. Every foot of progress feels harder. Then disaster strikes. Justin slips. His leg gets pinned and the pain is excruciating. He can't go any further. Sean tries to free him but realizes it's hopeless. One of them has to go on, the other has to turn back. Sean makes his choice. He gives Justin enough gear to descend safely and pushes forward alone. His goal is Kristen, and he won't leave her up there by herself. Meanwhile, Carrie reaches Justin and helps him down, but her worry for Sean grows. At camp, the tribal chief arrives. In his hands is Brad's helmet. The camera is still intact. He hands it to Carrie and tells her to watch. Carrie gives it to Radio, the comms tech. He plugs it in. What plays on the screen makes his blood run cold. Brad crawling like a creature, attacking Kristen with animal-like violence. His movements inhuman, his voice distorted. And the worst part, the same airy sound Carrie heard over the radio is on the recording. This isn't interference. It's alive. Meanwhile, Sean climbs alone. No rope, no protection. He knows it's suicide, but there's no other way. Finally, he reaches Kristen. She stares at him in disbelief, then throws her arms around him. Together they set up a small portal edge and prepare to spend the night hanging off the rock face. Far below, Jesse and Lucky start to waver. Brad's death is weighing on them. With no clear updates, they question whether they should keep going. Colton remains cold. He says nothing changes. The climb continues. Everyone knew the risks. Lucky snaps at him, accusing him of gambling with their lives. Colton doesn't flinch. Jesse just watches. None of them say it out loud, but they all feel it. Something is wrong with Colton. That night, Sean and Kristen talk. She describes what happened with Brad, her voice shaking. Sean listens and remembers everything the chief told him. For the first time, he admits maybe it wasn't just myth. He tells Kristen they have to warn the others. But their radios are dead. Kristen suggests climbing higher. Maybe then they can get a signal. Sean hesitates, but doesn't rule it out. Deep down, he knows the danger is closer than either of them think. Back at camp, Radio keeps digging into the footage. He isolates the strange sound and finds something even more disturbing. Hidden beneath the static, a voice repeats the same phrase over and over. I'm here. Find me. It isn't just a sound. It's a signal, and it's aimed at them. At dawn, Lucky wakes with a jolt. Something just shook his tent. Emily is gone. He spots her a few feet away, slicing ropes with a knife. Her eyes are blank, her body stiff. She moves like Brad did, like she isn't even herself anymore. Lucky shouts. Emily lunges at him. Jesse wakes up to the chaos. In the struggle, Emily slips, falling off the face of the mountain. She dies instantly. Colton stays stone cold. He says they'll keep climbing. Yes, it's a tragedy, but they won't stop. Lucky refuses. He's done. He says he won't watch anyone else die. He decides to descend. Jesse agrees. Back at base camp, Radio confirms their worst fear. This thing isn't just noise. It's an entity, something that travels through sound, something that needs a host. And it can jump from one person to another. Sean finally makes contact by radio. He reports that he found Kristen and they're okay, but they need to keep going. Carrie orders him to come back. Sean doesn't reply. Jesse and Lucky check in too, saying they're heading down. Colton, however, refuses to turn back. And then Sean does the unthinkable. He decides to join Colton. Kristen follows. Jesse and Lucky try to stop them, but it's no use. The radio cuts out. Carrie slams her headset down in frustration, completely cut off from them. When Sean and Kristen catch up with Colton, Sean turns to her and unclips her safety line. He tells her he can't risk her life. He'll finish this climb alone. Kristen hesitates, then nods. She lets him go. At base camp, Radio makes a chilling discovery. He can hear the voices of every climber, except Colton's. There's only one explanation. Colton is already possessed. To be sure, Radio asks each of them to speak one by one over the radio. Kristen complies. Sean does too. Colton refuses. Then everything happens at once. Lucky appears, but he's not Lucky anymore. Something else is driving him. He attacks Colton without warning, screaming nonsense, slamming him into the wall. Kristen tries to stop him, but the thing inside Lucky jumps. Now Kristen is the one possessed. The entity finally speaks, revealing its nature. It can only inhabit one body at a time. Lucky snaps out of it, just in time to die seconds later. Kristen attacks with inhuman strength. She strangles Colton. Then she turns on Sean. But Sean remembers the chief's words and the staff. He pulls it out and strikes the strange rock face. The mountain shudders. The sound stops. Kristen collapses. When she opens her eyes, she's back. Tears stream down her face as she realizes what she's done. She sobs, apologizing over and over. Sean helps her to her feet. Colton, barely clinging to life, whispers his last words. This isn't over. There's no time, no gear, no ropes. But Sean has one last chance. Kristen is in shock, barely able to move. Sean holds her close. They both know they have to get down fast. Then Sean remembers the one thing he kept from the beginning, the parachute the skydiver gave him. Kristen stares at it. It's not built for two, she says. Sean just nods. It'll work. That night, somewhere far away, in a shadowy room, a group of people receives a full report of what happened. They're not random officials, they're part of a secret agency that has been watching the wall for decades. Now, they know the truth.